Hi, I'm Magdalena. As you might or might not know, I'm actually Czech. I come from the Czech Republic. I noticed that many foreigners don't understand how is the Czech Republic one of the most atheist countries in the world. However, there is actually no content on that matter on the internet from Czechs. I found many videos of foreigners trying to wrap their minds around how is that possible. Many people even ask me, how do we function? Is there chaos and destruction in the Czech Republic without religion? So I thought, it's coronavirus, I'm bored. I can as well try to explain at least my own opinion on this topic. There is actually no chaos and destruction here, surprisingly. That's because I would say Czechs actually have their own culture and their own kind of religion or philosophy on life, and that is similar to other religions. However, historically, people here are not really used to express their religion or express their beliefs, especially it's no one's business. And when someone's asking what's your religion, the thing is, most of the people left out this column in the form blank, or they wrote things like that they are the Knight of Jedi, etc. Czechs have really good sense of humor, and they are sarcastic when they don't want to be honest. Maybe foreigners would understand us more on this topic if we just if someone would just explain it to them. Although Czech opinion on this is more it's literally no one's business. The Slavic people that were here since the beginning, they brought their Slavic religion with them, and that religion was basically the paganism. It was called paganism later, but it was a tribal religion that came with a lot of connection to the nature. It was about magic and many magical creatures existing in the world actually, and they had beliefs around the seasons changing and around a lot of things about how the growth will be that year, and if the crops will yield well based on what was happening in the nature. So they looked at the nature a lot. They looked at the moon. Most of the celebrations, the holidays, yeah, that's the word, were basically about the nature, or about death, life, and love, and the celebration of spring. And I can see that even celebration of the yield of the crop, and being really thankful for what the nature gave us, right? And the thing is that when those two guys came to Christianize the Czechs, they did so, I would say, even quite successfully. There were probably many Czechs who just accepted this religion. However, the thing is that the Czechs were if you can imagine the country demographically, it was divided a lot with the wealth, of course, because there were wealthy people who were even aristocrats, or let's say the main ruler or the emperor, and those were usually foreigners. I mean, usually they spoke German. And then there were Czechs who lived mostly in villages, and they were very rural. At first, those Czechs were even slaves to the statehood, which was led by the German-speaking people. Usually, there were even some that really loved the Czech people, and those monarchs, some of them tried to learn Czech, and they moved to Prague, and they really wanted to see the Czech people thrive, and those were really loved by the people. However, I would say that most of them didn't really care much. They were even more trying to Germanize the Czechs, to make them more educated and stuff, but the schools were in German, the church was in Latin, so the Czechs were forced to know the other languages mostly I guess they didn't even understand it. We've learned that those Czechs who were they were forced to go to the church because that's the thing, the emperor, they forced the Christianity, and for centuries they prohibited paganism under the threat of they are going to burn you to death if you are pagan. So people couldn't express their paganism because they would be burned to death, and they had to go to church while they were basically slaves working on the fields. Czechs probably saw the church and they complained a lot about especially how the church is taking money from the people with some manipulative techniques, which was actually kinda happening. That's why I say that the people were obviously not stupid. Czechs under so much pressure with not only not being able to express their beliefs, but also being punished for it, and communists, and those people who also prohibited religion, and so people didn't have freedom of belief. Czechs are just used to have their own belief and kind of not express it or not tell anyone. Usually it's there are of course some people who just say they believe in science, and that's completely fine. I mean, most of the Czechs do, I guess, but most of the people I spoke to, they always say that I have my own, but basically they all have the same. It's kind of funny, but they usually say that they believe in something that doesn't necessarily need to be called a god. It is just something higher, like a higher might, or the mother nature, or the nature, the laws of nature, or a central computer. Everyone calls it different, or an inner voice that is within everything. It basically sets rules for everything happening in real life. People here mostly believe in karma. They believe in before every exam, the students, they try to do good things just to improve their karma before the exam, so they pass the exam. Also, people here usually believe in reincarnation, so they believe in that you can reincarnate and even not be a human in the next life. You can be, for example, a tree. So there's a big connection to the nature, or I would say Czechs kind of feel with the nature that all the things are alive. I'm kind of sure that those things are they come from the paganism thing, kind of, but that's just my own opinion, it doesn't need to be that. People here, they wouldn't even know what basically the paganism thing is, or like what, like they know from history lessons that it was something that was prohibited under the threat of like dying, and that pagans were basically considered, like paganism was not considered a religion at all, and it was something that was just like those people were underdogs and like completely plebs. So that's all people here know. But like we study, because we don't have our like religion classes, as I noticed, for example, the Germans do. We have like a general social studies where you like learn about almost all of the religions, like the big ones, at the same time. Like, I mean, even at the, how to express it, like we learn about each religion the same. Like, we don't prefer Christianity, that we would like spend more time on it than like Hinduism or Buddhism and those. So like we just study them as if we study like the I don't know, like the philosophers and etc. So like without any emotional connection. I remember many people at school even complain like, why do we need to study about this when it's like something so insignificant? People here might see, like, still have this view on the religion of like being so manipulative and like causing so many wars, and like people want to live in peace and not, you know, support something that is like dividing people. So they even might see someone who is religious, like openly, as someone who is kind of like easily manipulated, or he probably doesn't, like, he lacks critical thinking. That's what I would say that Czechs think about such person, because of the structure of the religion, you know, of the, like, the completely rotten structure of the leaders of the religion, that just like goes after the money and stuff like that. So Czechs don't really even like to call it anyhow. They don't like the structure that there would be like a leader of that religion who would tell others what to do. Czechs overall don't like anyone telling them what to do. And they are like the most stubborn nation that you can ever get to know. How is it even possible that Czechs were like for centuries being oppressed and like Germanized, and their language went almost extinct. The Germans were like writing books, you know, and vocabularies in Czech, just so there is some evidence about the language that existed long time ago and doesn't exist anymore. It's like you try to like press your religion on them, or your language, or like your culture, whatever, under the complete like death threatening, even in during the Second World War, etc. And Czechs are just like, they will agree with you. They will say like, of course, yeah, like we can have this religion, no problem. But then they won't do it. Because they are just this stubborn, but they don't want to like cause conflict or go into conflict with you. When you call them out, like, you're actually not doing what I told you to do, they are like, oh, I thought I was. I guess I just was mistaken. I don't know. I forgot. Like, but it's just that they don't want to. And the thing is also that Czechs are more like, you need to explain to them a lot of what you actually mean. You need to be like really open about it. And when you set a law or like a rule and you don't explain the meaning behind it, Czechs have hard time listening to that rule, you know. Usually it's even funny that even the authorities will after like they are really nice. I give an example, okay? Like when I started at school, it was the first day of high school, and we were sitting all there, and our head teacher spoke to us about the rules of the school, and he said that even with the law, you know, you can't actually leave the school during the education being done. And so even after lunch, when you have like an hour of free time, you can't actually leave the school. And he was saying it like, you know, even though you leave, like, I won't really know, you know, probably no one will know. And so by saying that, he was like kinda giving us the approval, you know, that we can leave the school. And we didn't know if we get it right. So some people asked like, so we actually like, you say that we can leave the school? And he was like, no, of course not. Like, you can't leave the school. But this is how it is, you know, even the authorities are like, they approve of it. But like, you know, everyone is covering their backs. So even you, if you would get caught, you would never say that your teacher approved of it, because you know that he would be punished for it. So you would always be like, oh, I didn't, no, I guess I wasn't listening, you know. So like, and this is happening when Czechs don't agree with the rule, or they don't get why it's like that, or like, you know, I know why it's like that, you know. You can't leave the school because of if anything happened to you, you know, if you would get into a car crash, for example, the school is responsible for you. So like, the school will have to pay the fine, or the teacher would go to prison, etc. So like, that's why this is like that. But many people kind of don't agree with that because it's like against your freedom, and it doesn't make sense that you can't leave the school when you have a free hour or two. I can even imagine that in the past, centuries ago, when the main emperor, like the king, he said that paganism is prohibited and you need to like burn everyone who is pagan, and everyone has to be Christian. This ruler was like a foreigner. He was Christian himself, and he didn't even speak Czech, while the regional emperors were sometimes Czech. I can even imagine them like tolerating that, but in front of the ruler they would always be like, there are no pagans to be seen, you know, we always burn everyone who is pagan. But then to their people they would be nice, and they would be like, you know, the emperor is kind of like stupidly putting this rule, and we don't really know why, you know, like why people wouldn't be able to like believe in what they want to believe. So like, you know, just don't tell it on me that I'm like leaving you here, you know, fine, just like act like you're Christian. Despite like many people actually being Christian, I think this is like the only way how people stay this way, with this mindset, like with their beliefs and everything throughout centuries of like being oppressed. The Czechs are like, I would say really nice people, but you need to kind of understand their like thinking, you know. We don't really disagree. if we don't really like agree like enthusiastically, I guess you can always take it as a disagreement. So they were just always like, yeah, sure, we have this religion, you know, no problem, we are Christians, we are all Christians. When the emperor wanted that, but then like no one sees into your head. So even if you're in the church, like no one sees what you're actually thinking, or if you're actually Christian, or if you believe that. And the problem was with the celebrations, like with the holidays, right? So the Czechs did like a smart thing, that they moved the pagan holidays on the days that the Christian holidays were, and then they were like saying they celebrate the Christian holiday while they were celebrating their pagan holiday. And when they were asked about like the way how they celebrated, like why do you give each other eggs and etc. on Easter, they were just like giving it Christian symbolic. So on Easter, which is my completely most favorite holiday, by the way, because it's just so joyful and it's so much fun, Easter is basically like a welcoming of spring for Czech. Guys run around with the whips and they whip women, like hit them, not on the head but like on their butts. And the women want to be whipped basically because if you're not whipped, you're actually pretty scared, because that means that you're going to dry out. And the drying out act is that it basically means that you're going to be ill and ugly and unhealthy. Like you're going to maybe even die of like depression. It's like, to be healthy and happy and like pretty, you need to get whipped during Easter holidays. When the emperor or like the state asked people like, why do you celebrate like how is it called, like the, oh my god, I'm like so uneducated at this. Like, that the Jesus rose up from the dead. Like, why you celebrate it this way, that you like hit each other, right? And like it doesn't make any sense. So like people were always like trying to think of symbols that has something to do with Jesus. Like they were baking some stuff that they were saying that this is basically the Jesus' sacrifice, and like by eating it, it's like we sacrifice the Jesus. And also the colors of the eggs were like, they had meanings, like the red egg is like the blood of Jesus, etc. And even though the pagan holidays are kind of like, doesn't matter much when you celebrate them, because of they are usually connected to the season, so it's like they were fine with just moving that to when the Easter was. This happened with other celebrations as well, as people would say that they are just regular celebration, like a party, that they are celebrating the yield of the field, etc. But keeping those pagan customs as well as their beliefs. Even as a child, I was taught to believe in the magical creatures or the monsters of the Slavic religion, which are, for example, like Baba Yaga or Vodnik, Rusalka, Klegani, etc. Like those things, your mom tells you that because of they don't want you to go into the water, or they don't want you to go out at night. So you're basically scared of that creature. We even had a mulisak at our basement, which was something that our parents told us because they didn't want us to go into the basement. And once when my dad was working at the basement, he actually ripped his pants. And he told my sister, like, when he got out, he was like covered in black coal, mud, and like his pants were ripped. He looked like horrible. And my sister was scared. She was like, what happened? Like, how do you look like this? And he was like that he met Mulisag and he was fighting him, and he, like, the Mulisag actually ripped his pants. And the funny thing is that my sister and my cousins, they were not actually that scared of Mulisag. They actually wanted to welcome him, so they went to basement one day to like they were calling him and like trying to greet him. They were actually like, I mean, they were scared, I guess, but they just wanted to be polite and like bring him food and like drinks, you know. So he's not so alone, and also like he doesn't starve in the basement. And they didn't find him, you know, they didn't find anything. Even Christmas, it's kind of exceptional here in the Czech Republic. I mean, not really, like we celebrate Christmas as any other nation does, but we have baby Jesus bringing gifts, and this baby Jesus basically is like, we even sing the songs like about Jesus, etc. It's basically a Christian holiday, right? But no one, I guess, takes it here that way. I mean, baby Jesus is basically one of those magical creatures as well. So like, the same as we believe in like vodnik, the same, I guess, we believe in baby Jesus, that it's like a creature that brings gifts on Christmas. And children want to see him. It's like Santa Claus, right? But it's the Jesus. So that's like the only way how I like was connected with Jesus throughout my life, as I knew that there is like a story that the Jesus was born from the songs and that it was in Bethlehem, etc. But like, I saw it like Jesus is just like a fairy tale creature who is just like a baby or something. Everyone imagines Jesus differently here, the same as everyone imagines vodnik differently, or like everyone imagines the polednice differently, etc. Some people imagine him as a baby. Some people imagine him as a older child, etc. Usually he wears like a white sleeping gown. And he brings gifts. Yeah, so we also have the Barbara, who brings also like gifts at Saint Barbara, but we like don't take it as like saint. It's like so melted into each other, you know. Like, we don't even know anything about Saint Barbara. Like, we don't know anything about her life. It's just a magical creature that brings us like oranges in December. You know, we even have it in our language, kind of like. You can actually hear people like exceptionally, but you can hear people say like do peruna or do pieruna, which is like a curse, you know, like if you would say Jesus Christ, and that literally means like into Perun, which is the biggest god of paganism. Sometimes we might say something like ať do mě hrom udeří jestli, or something like this, and that would mean like you're calling the thunder to hit you if you're actually not right, or like if what you're saying is not true. And that would also, like, in my eyes, refer to Perun, which is like the god of thunder. They even had like a holiday Hromnice that was supposed to prevent the thunders, which was like the worst that could happen to you, that like a thunder hit you or it hit your house. So it even stayed in the language this way, which is really interesting in my opinion. it's like a little chaotic. It's hard to find the real thing behind it, like how it was actually. It's just with like a lot of confusion about people thinking they can change Czechs, and it's basically not possible. Even some Czech leaders can't change Czechs because they are just really stubborn. I hope this like made it a little clearer to you. I don't know. I hope that now you understand that Czechs are actually not like not like apes, you know, without their religion. I think they might even be like really sophisticated. I think I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm biased that I'm Czech, but I even think that this is much like more sophisticated approach than some other nations have. That we are just like we put peace over everything, you know. Czechs are like they really want their peace, and they are like not going to fight anyone if they really don't have to. So that's that. It was quite obvious throughout our history, I would say. Like sometimes we didn't even have like other choice, but I guess we are not really aggressive. So that's why it's even kind of rude to call us atheists. It's someone who like not only denies religion, but he also hates on it, and like he's being kind of like aggressively against religion, which Czechs are not. They don't really care, you know. It's everyone's their own thing, what they believe in or don't. And so at school, I remember a teacher telling us that we are actually not atheists, we are deists, which means that like we don't have a god, but like atheist literally means like against religion. So that's all, I guess, what I wanted to say. So I hope it made it like clearer for you, and that you can feel and empathize with the Czechs a little more. And like it would be really cool, because this is, as a disclaimer, you know, this is just my own opinion, and I don't really know if other Czechs can like agree with my own opinion, or like if they disagree. So it would be great if you're Czech, if you can like write in the comments or like the video or dislike it, if you like agree or disagree with this. You know, if you think that like Czechs are really not like that, what I'm saying. So it would be great for the foreigners to like have more views on the situation from our side. Yeah, but it actually doesn't matter, like it's our own thing, right? So yeah, I'll see you soon. Sometimes, I don't know. I haven't posted in a few years, so it's like I like a lie beforehand already, I guess, to say like I will see you soon. Bye.